And welcome.
Worst YouTubers in existence, like the weirdos. Which brings us to Onision. Listen closely when I say this. He's a criminal. Why is he a criminal, you ask? Well, let me explain. So for those of you that don't know, Onision was this huge YouTuber back in the day who had a primarily younger audience. That's important. But see, Onision had a problem. He didn't understand what I like to call the weirdo YouTuber principle. Yes, I just made that up. See, the closer you get to strange boom, so
Highlight link.
Ready to invest in real estate but don't want the hassle? Look no further and join Smart Crowd. Invest in.
they say to become a billionaire, you got to screw over a lot of people. Kind of like how Marcus stole Facebook, how William Gates, a sociopath, stole a bunch of Apple's ideas. Y'all all know Elon be wildin'. And none other than the Jigga Man, who today we're going to use as an example. Now, this is no shade to Jay-Z. He's just a perfect example because when he was coming up, he said he was a hustler. To be a billionaire, you got to hustle, scam, bamboozle, and a lot of street hustling kind of connects to business. Now, Jay-Z had a problem because remember, I just said to be a billionaire, you got to screw over a lot of people. Some can see that as, this guy's a jerk. But Jay-Z is the face of his business. Like he says, I'm a business, comma, man. If you don't know how your commas work, he's basically saying he's a business. Now, if you are the business, your stocks can go up and down depending on you. Let me put it to you this way. If Elon Musk was this super nice guy who gave to charity all the time and he bought Twitter and it was failing, people will be like, man, that's tough for Elon. And a lot of people will probably help him out. We all know that's not Elon Musk. So people just laugh at him as Twitter crashes and burns and praise for his downfall. Now let's see how Jay-Z toes this balance perfectly with Tidal. Now, if you don't know, Tidal was this music service that Jay-Z bought a while ago. He said, yo, this is going to be the biggest thing in streaming. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Now, why Jay-Z started Tidal was actually a pretty good reason. Streaming platforms are not paying artists. So if he makes Tidal and he promotes Tidal, pays artists a whole bunch of money, people will love Tidal. And he actually did this by giving the most amount of revenue to artists. And he also made this whole grand production where a bunch of famous musicians came on stage signing "We Own" part of Tidal. Jay-Z gave it to us. Everyone's like, woo! Jay-Z like, so y'all finna sign up for Tidal? Everyone's like, no. Jay-Z said, but why? They said, because I have Spotify already. But Jay-Z, you a good dude. He underestimated the fact that people were like, yo, Beyonce would be all right if I just go on Spotify. She's a millionaire. Ain't that right, Jay-Z? Jay-Z said, well, now you can only get her album on Tidal. Now what? People were like, I don't really like that. And people just listened to another artist. It wasn't that deep. But at this point, people did not like Jay-Z. He had so much stock with the people that people were just giving him the benefit of the doubt. They're like, oh, he's a businessman. He's just trying to make a business move. It's annoying, but sure. Now, there was a few more album exclusives, but then Kanye West dropped his highly anticipated The Life of Pablo on Tidal exclusively. Now, people weren't tripping that Kanye's album was exclusively on Tidal. I think like 300 million people paid the subscription fee to listen to the album. Then a week later, Kanye drops the album on Apple Music. Everyone who paid the Tidal subscription felt scammed because the album was exclusively supposed to be released on Tidal. In fact, Tidal gets sued and it's starting to look really bad because at this point, people are only buying into this because Jay-Z is the savvy businessman. It's okay. But now it just seems Jay-Z, remember, he's the face of the business, is forcing people to pay to listen to their favorite artists and his business is failing. Maybe he's not that business savvy. So his reputation is taking a slight dip. So Jay-Z goes, oh snap, it's time to jump ship. So he hits up his friend, Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey founded Twitter. He's like, yo, Jack, you want to come on my yacht? Jack goes, me? Of course. Rich people still think famous people are famous. So Jack goes on vacation with Jay-Z. Jack sees Beyonce. He goes, that Beyonce? Jay-Z goes, yup. Hey, you want to buy Tidal? Jack goes, your failing music service? Jay-Z said, now who said it's failing? Jack said, everybody online. Jay-Z goes, well, you can't believe everything you read. So Jack goes over to his shareholders and tells them, yo, we're buying Tidal. They go, Jay-Z's failing music service? Jack said, now who said it's failing? They said these legal documents that Tidal is obligated to show us, showing that they're failing. Jack said, well, you can't believe everything you read. We buying it for 300 million. They go, what the? They buy it. Jack's the boss. Now, Tidal, of course, fails, but it had people questioning, why did Jack do this? Because even though Jay-Z is Jay-Z, this is ridiculous. The shareholders thought the same thing, so they sue Jack. And here's where it starts to get wicked. There's something I forgot to tell you. A part of the deal where Jack and his company paid $300 million for Tidal was Jay-Z, listen closely, gets on the board of directors for Jack's company. The board and the shareholders were like, what? Jay-Z said, what, Jigga, I'm here now. So people were suspicious, including the judge. Judge was like, yo, so is he just like your friend and you just helped him out? Jack goes, no, I just thought it was a pretty good idea. The judge goes, well, you got the bag and fumbled it. Jack goes, I'm sorry? The judge goes, you got the bag and fumbled it. Jack goes, okay, I won't fumble the bag next time. My fault, judge. Judge goes, great, you're free to go. The shareholders were like, hey, yo. But in the judge's words, it's not criminal to make a bad business decision. In fact, I think the judge said a terrible business decision. The judge was like, this transaction was done in bad faith, but it didn't break the law. And now it's time for our story break with today's sponsor, Aura. Aura is able to monitor your data across billions of data points to alert you if you're at risk of identity theft. This year's seen an especially high number of data breaches. From huge companies you might know like Dell, who suffered a data breach that exposed 3.9 million customer records, like AT&T that affected around like 11.5 million customers, and Ticketmaster that affected 560 million customer records. Now, the wildest part is the biggest breach came from national public data. 2.9 billion records were compromised. I'm talking full names, addresses, dates of birth, phone numbers, and most importantly, social security numbers getting exposed. Which brings me back to Aura, which offers real-time alerts on those data breaches, dark web monitoring to see if your data is exposed, and a VPN for secure browsing. Also, data broker opt-outs to stop companies from selling your personal information, a password manager to help you create and store strong passwords, and more. So if you want to keep your personal data safe, you can go to aura.com/XEVI to try 2 weeks out for free. Now back to our story. So who got screwed here? First things first, Jay-Z made it out, got $300 million, and I believe this was what pushed him to $1 billion. The shareholders screwed because they lost a bunch of money. But Jack is where it gets kind of interesting. People either think Jack got screwed or he was in on this with Jay-Z all along, meaning Jay-Z and Jack screwed over the businessman. You keeping up so far? So basically Jack pays some of that $300 million to Jay-Z, which he can totally afford. Jack hangs out with Jay-Z, they swap ideas, they become friends, and continue to work together when it comes to making a bunch of money in the future. Win-win for both of them. Shareholders get none of this with Jay-Z, and they just lose money. An NYU business professor called this an expensive tab to hang out with Jay-Z. Now, how does this make Jay-Z the hustler? Well, he basically sold himself instead of Tidal. When he knew the business was failing, he just went into the old hustler's playbook. Just pretend it's not failing and then sell it to a sucker. At first, he tried to sell it by pretending the number of subscribers were bigger than they were. They did actual projections on his numbers and they're like, bro, you're like 10 times below what you said you're doing. Jay-Z's like, let me see those numbers again. Companies were like, oh no. Jay-Z was like, but I'm Jay-Z though. Again, in comes Jack Dorsey. Jay-Z either hustles Jack or Jay and Jack hustle the shareholders. Anyway, Jay-Z's actually not a stranger to these business tactics, pretending a product is good when it's He's done this with his alcohol company, his other alcohol company, his clothing brand, pretty much a lot of things he has his hand in business for. Now, this isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's basically what a majority of commercials are. It's why companies hire celebrities to like use their stuff, except Jay-Z is both the company and the celebrity. Now let's take things a step further and talk about how Jay-Z first came into the rap game. He actually used this exact same strategy to become famous, pretending something's amazing, it's actually worth nothing, but getting big companies to buy into it. And that something was his record label, Rockefeller Records. Now I made this part of the video another day and I'm too lazy to film it over, so here you go. Now Jay-Z's no stranger to this business strategy. In fact, he did this when he first started coming up as a rapper. As Jay-Z says, he's a hustler from the streets. When he learned that you can hustle legally, he said, oh snap. So he went to record labels and said, yo, I'm about to be the biggest thing. They said, who are you? He said, like I was saying, I'm Jay-Z. I'm about to be, they said, ago. Jay-Z said, y'all ain't even listened to my album yet. And the funny thing is, Jay-Z had a legendary album on his hands, but nobody was trying to hear it. They said, we good, Jazzy. He said, first of all, my name is Jay-Z. Second of all, y'all gonna see. So Jay-Z had a problem. Nobody was trying to sign him. So Jay-Z does what he knows best, hustles. He gets his two friends, Dame Dash and Biggs Burke, and they create their own independent record label called Rockefeller Records. They didn't have no money really, at least not enough to go on crazy tours or have like a whole album release, but they did have some cash from selling. So what did they do? They spend it on clothes, jewelry, cars, all that. Now from the outside looking in, it looks financially irresponsible. They did this for a reason. Remember the strategy, make the business look good and people buy into it. Well, the business in this case is the record label they started. They was walking in the clubs, spending money, all that. People was like, who them? Somebody would slide in, be like, that's Jay-Z and them from Rockefeller Records. They'd be like, who are you? Don't worry about that. Jay-Z, y'all ain't heard of Jay-Z? They'd be like, nah, should I? Dude would slide out and be like, y'all missing out. They paid the DJ to call their name. That's Jay-Z and them from Rockefeller Records. And they were looking like a big deal. And plus, remember, the album and the music was really good. In reality, they're selling the music out the trunk of their car. So the music starts getting out there. Record labels are like, yo, who is this Jay-Z from Rockefeller Records? Jay-Z. Jay-Z like, huh? They said, you want to sign to our record label? Jay-Z be like, no, I'm already signed to Rockefeller Records. Record labels are like, well, we usually give artists 5% of their own music. What if we give you 10? Record labels are a scam too, one of the legal scams. Jay-Z said 50-50. Record labels said 50 what? Jay-Z would be like, okay, fine. They'd be like, wait. Universal eventually signs with a 50-50 deal with Rockefeller Records, which was insane at the time, especially because he only did this by pretending he was bigger than he was. Now, a lot of times in scams, people will pretend they're bigger than they are and the other party will get nothing. Like what Jay-Z did in the whole title thing. Jay-Z got 300 million, Jack Dorsey got sued. But in this case, even though Jay-Z finessed a 50-50 deal, his music was actually really good. So Universal gets a big payout because of it. This gives him a lot of credibility, which later allowed him to snake one of his friends that I told you about earlier, Dame Dash. Now, saying that he snaked him is debatable. Dame Dash was kind of a loose cannon and he was making Jay-Z look really bad, but that's a story for another day. Actually, I touched on that story. I'll probably put the video somewhere up here. Now, at the end of the day, as the business people say, it's just business. I would turn up if I got hustled like this, but I guess that's why I'm not a businessman. It takes a certain mind to be able to screw people over and just be okay with it. For the majority of us, they would probably just wring us dry. And all a judge would probably say is, like the judge said to Jack's shareholders, you got licked. What Jack and Jay-Z did to y'all was certainly in bad faith. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Anyway, let me end this video by saying I appreciate every single one of y'all that be subscribing. If you're not subscribing, then subscribe right now and keep an eye out for live content on Twitch. I'm gonna make that a place where we can just like hang out and like talk and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, peace. Okay with it. For the majority of us, they would probably just wring us dry. And all a judge would probably say is, like the judge said to Jack's shareholders, you got licked. What Jack and Jay-Z did to y'all was certainly in bad faith. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Anyway, let me end this video by saying I appreciate every single one of y'all that be subscribing. If you're not subscribing, then subscribe right now and keep an eye out for live content on popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you gotta know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades. Well, Jay-Z had a problem. He right there in the corner, by the way. Jay-Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay-Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay-Z with Harvey Weinstein. People are like, I guess they both do business. Then, of course, Jay-Z with Diddy. Now, hold on. Here's the thing. Jay-Z and Diddy go way back. Like back to the days when they were both coming up. So you could say they might just have a lot of respect for each other. But on the other hand, people are like, well, if you've known each other that long, Jay-Z, you must have known what Diddy was on. But Jay-Z has always had a history of keeping quiet, which brings us to Aaliyah. Now, I'm sure y'all remember R. Kelly dated Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. Now, if I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, "Marry who?" And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now, a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now, there was absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out, well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying, it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody, R. Kelly. But again, rumors, kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy, do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now, he's going after Diddy. Specifically, listen closely, anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who has watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now, first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from
فين؟ تقدر ديالنا يا الليل
from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him. He could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names, some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He said, yo, y'all finna wild out when you hear these names. I'm not gonna say it now. Y'all finna wild out. So people are like, Now, in Beyonce's case, it's just because she's married to Jay-Z and she's been in the industry for like 20 years. People are like, you must have known something. But that's all people have. Now, in Jay-Z's defense, he's famously all about the money. As far as we've seen, he's always been around Diddy for like a public event or when money's involved. And the same could be said for all the other people he was around. He could have thought, oh, R. Kelly's huge right now. Let me do an album with him to boost my name up. Many people have come out saying Jay-Z is a cutthroat businessman, kind of like Bill Gates, who I actually think is a sociopath, but that's a story for another day. And cutthroat businessmen will cross any line and work with anyone to get what they want. Because at the end of the day, to them, it's just business. That being said, that doesn't make this a good thing. That's why Jay-Z can still be prosecuted for watching crimes happen but not saying anything about it. But at the end of the day, as you probably know, Jay-Z is rich. You're not going to jail for that. It would need an insane amount of evidence, and even then, you would still probably get off. But that doesn't really matter in some cases. A lot of times, reputation is the most important thing. So a lot of times, the courts will take a case they know they can't win or sign a deal just to get the rumor mill started and get people going, yo, why did Bill Cosby sign a deal? For those of you that don't know, Bill Cosby was arrested like 20 years before the big, allegations came out. They told him, just tell us you did it and we won't broadcast this. He said, absolutely. I need to save my reputation. People started asking questions. Boom, boom, boom. 20 years later, he goes to jail. But he actually did get out because the cops did say they were going to keep his confession low key, but then they used it against him 20 years later. But anyway, back to Jay-Z. At the end of the day, this could go any way. The thing is, Diddy's sloppy. He was bound to get caught. Jay-Z, not sloppy. So he would be a tough one to catch. But on the other hand, the FBI is pretty good at their jobs. And remember that lawyer from earlier that's going against Diddy and is gathering all those names on his alleged accomplices? Well, he also said that he gave a lot of his information to the FBI. And if Jay-Z's name pops up, he's in trouble, because how the FBI works is they'll take that information and they'll put it in a little vault with all the other information they might have on Jay-Z. When it's enough to lock him up, that's when they'll come out. So if you see the words FBI and Jay-Z in the same sentence, it's a wrap.
C'est la Cyber Week chez Hostinger. Hébergement WordPress infogéré dès 1,95€ par mois. Profitez d'offres limitées avec un domaine, des mois en plus gratuits et des migrations illimitées sans frais.
Now, I bet you want to know why Jay-Z when they were both coming up. So you could say they might deal with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out. Get nothing like what Jay-Z did in the whole title thing. Jay-Z got 300 million, Jack Dorsey got sued. But in this case, even though Jay-Z finessed a 50-50 deal, his music was actually really good. So Universal gets a big payout because of it. This gives him a lot of credibility, which later allowed him to snake one of his friends that I told you about earlier, Dame Dash. Now, saying that he snaked him is debatable. Dame Dash was kind of a loose cannon and he was making Jay-Z look really bad, but that's a story for another day. Actually, I touched on that story. I'll probably put the video somewhere up here. Now, at the end of the day, as the business people say, it's just business. I would turn up if I got hustled like this, but I guess that's why I'm not a businessman. It takes a certain mind to be able to screw people over and just be okay with it. For the majority of us, they would probably just wring us dry. And all a judge would probably say is, like the judge said to Jack's shareholders, you got licked. What Jack and Jay-Z did to y'all was Jay-Z had a problem. He started a record label with his two friends, but it wasn't working out anymore. Through pure grinding, they turned their label Rockefeller Records into a massive business, but that money started to go to Dame's head. That boy started acting real different. He started making business decisions without consulting Jay-Z and Biggs, the other guy. He started firing people, hiring people, telling Jay-Z to show up in this movie, show up in that movie. Everybody was getting a little sick of it. But most importantly, he had a way of pissing people off. He heard that Jay-Z was having secret meetings with Def Jam, so he storms into one of these meetings with the label executive and starts going ballistic, cussing everybody out. This white dude gets up and leaves. Dame says, that's what I thought. You shouldn't even be in this room talking about my culture anyway. But little did Dame know Jay-Z had a plan. Now, I want you to pay attention. So Dame, Jay-Z, and their other partner own 50% of Rockefeller. 25% was owned by Def Jam, and the other 25%, making it a total of 100%, was owned by another company. But Def Jam and that other random company were owned by one parent company. This is how a lot of companies work to trick you into thinking that you own most of your company. Def Jam says, oh, I only own 25%, you own 50. The other company goes, oh, I only own 25%, you own 50. But they're both secretly owned by one company. So technically, you own 50% and they own 50%. So now all it takes is for shareholders to make a decision and you're out of a company. And here's where the finesse happens. Def Jam, who owns 25%, calls up Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and Biggs and says, hey, we'd like to buy the rest of the 50% from you guys for $50 million. What do you say? Jay-Z said, should we do it? Dame said, yeah, we should do it. Because really, all we're doing is selling the shares of the company. We're still going to run the company. Jay-Z says, yeah. Dame, you're fired. Dame says, I'm not fired. You sold your shares of the company too. Jay-Z said, oh, you know what, bro? They hired me as the president of Def Jam. So I'm actually your boss now. Dame says, what? Slow down. Hold on. What do you say? Jay-Z said, yeah, bro, we technically sold our shares of the company. So since Def Jam now owns Rockefeller, I'm your boss, bro. Well, I was your boss. Biggs, the third dude, said, damn, he got your ass. Damn, I'm not gonna hold you. Jay said, yeah, bro, you fired too, though. Biggs said, what you mean, bro? We go way back. JC said, what do you do? The TikToker couldn't even talk about you in the video. Biggs said, Dame said, I'm not gonna hold you, Big. You actually really didn't do anything. Matter of fact, Jay-Z wanted to get rid of you a long time ago, but I told him not to. Jay-Z said, how about this though, y'all? Y'all know it's my dream to own all of my music. Def Jam gave me back all the masters of my music when I became president. If y'all give me the masters to the first album we created, I'll let y'all keep the name Rockefeller. Dame and Big said, that's what you really want, huh, Jay? Jay-Z said, y'all know it's my dream. They said, psych, we're not giving it to you, stupid. Jay-Z said, I'm giving you a record label for some songs. It's a pretty good deal. Big said, petty gang, I'm never giving it back. Jay-Z said, Dame, talk some sense into them. Dame said, I don't like you. So the three parted ways. Jay-Z went on to make some great business moves, and he's Jay-Z. Biggs, I believe, went to prison. He got out, and then he did some things. Dame Dash went on to work for Universal, but he still bullied and disrespected people, and he wanted them to make him president so he could have the same status as Jay-Z, so bad that they fired him, and he never got his feet off the ground again.